I know that a lot of you are battling with anxiety right now, and it's probably become really overwhelming for you. And I know that a lot of you think that it's not going to go away and this is what life is going to be like forever, but it's not. You can deal with your anxiety, and you will not have to live with anxiety all your life. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what I do when my anxiety comes up. So let's get started. Hi everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Carole and I'm a life coach from CaroleCares.com who helps all teens and young adults work through their mental health challenges. If some of you are thinking of self-harming right now, please hit the video link above at any time during this video. So we're going to tackle the topic of anxiety today, and it's a big topic. And for a lot of you, you're here because you need help with your anxiety. So this is what I'm here for. I'm going to help you. And the first thing I want you to do is realize that there is hope for you. And you're not going to live your whole life with anxiety. I know that a lot of you have convinced yourself that this is the way life's going to be, or maybe people have tried to tell you that this is the way it's going to be. But I'm here to tell you that this isn't the way it's going to be for you forever. And I know that right now what you're needing is some help dealing with your anxiety once you get into that panic attack, or once you feel it start creeping up. And so the first thing I do is when anxiety is creeping up and I can feel it, and I'm sure you know what all your signs are when it's coming up. I know I talked about that in my last video, was know your anxiety triggers, and I know a lot of you are in touch with your anxiety triggers and you know what certain things to avoid, and a lot of you have adopted some coping skills, some of them healthy, some of them not so healthy, either to help you numb out or to shove down this anxiety that keeps coming up. Because the one thing I can tell you about anxiety is that if you don't deal with it, it's just going to keep coming up. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to deal with it and actually give you a few techniques that are going to really help you along the way. I think a lot of you have convinced yourself that maybe you are crazy. A lot of people around you don't necessarily believe that this anxiety is real for you. Some people think that it's all in your head. Some people might have called you crazy. Some of you might think that you're going crazy. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. Your anxiety is real. And if you watched my video on anxiety triggers, I talked about how anxiety comes up because there's something in our environment, something in your environment that reminds you of something in the past. So your reaction is not real to what is happening right now, but it's real to something that happened to you in the past. Now, just you knowing that is probably not going to help you deal with your anxiety when it comes up, because it's still going to come up. So let's go through some steps that I take when my anxiety comes up. The most important thing when you start to feel your anxiety come up, for me it is pounding in my heart. My heart pounds, and then my mind will just chatter. So my mind takes over. And that's what happens with everybody when they have anxiety, is your mind takes over and it'll tell you a million things. And the things that it's telling you are all conflicting ideas. They're conflicting messages. And that is what makes you feel crazy. Those conflicting messages are telling you different things. It's like there's these different parts in you that are screaming at you in your head, saying you need to do this, no, don't do that, something's happening, no, something's not happening. And so there's this panic and this fear that sets in. And that's where you look for something to shut it all down. And that's why we try to numb out. And that's why we go to our coping skills that we've developed over the years to try to get rid of, to try to shut down what's happening in our mind. So the first thing you need to remember is that this is coming from the mind. So if this is coming from your mind, you need to somehow go elsewhere in your body, because our mind can tell us things. It can play tricks on us. And so what you need to do is right away is you need to take the focus off of your mind and you got to go to your body. But how do you do that? What does that mean? Well, the first thing that I'm going to tell you, the first technique, is probably the fastest technique that can start to get you back to your body and out of your mind, because that is the focus here when you have anxiety. And you're going to talk to yourself while you're doing this. So you're going to start to say, all right, my anxiety's coming up again. I feel it. Oh my God, it's coming up again. I can feel it. Oh my God, here it comes. And you know that it comes at unexpected times. You have no control over this. So you know when it comes. Sometimes you know your trigger, sometimes you don't. But it's coming. It's coming up. Oh, here it is again. Here it is again. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to talk to yourself and you're going to go, here it is again. And then I want you to breathe. I want you to breathe. The first thing I want you to do is breathe. That's the first thing I do. And you're going to focus on your breathing right away, because as soon as you start focusing on your breathing, it takes the focus off of your mind to your breathing. And you're going to take deep breaths. And that's the first thing you're going to do, is you're going to start to breathe deeply. Now you can do this even when you're in a social setting. Some of you at this point might be able to remove yourself from the situation that you're in. And if you can, do it. If you need to go to the bathroom, the best place is to step outside if you can and just breathe and talk yourself through it. Okay, now I'm going to breathe. All right, keep breathing, Carole. That's it. That's it. Just keep breathing. So what have you done? You've taken your focus off your mind and you're gone now back into your body. Okay, this is what you need to do. You're going into your body now, because your body is not going to tell you all these things. It's not going to have this chatter going on. So you've shut off your mind now just by going to your body. When your anxiety starts to come up, if you can, get yourself to a safe place right away. Now, I know that if you're in a social setting, sometimes it's difficult, but if you can, go to the bathroom, go to a room, and I know that some of you know that you need to do this, but just breathe. Go somewhere and breathe if you can. Once you've done that, once you've started to breathe, and do that about 5 or 6 times, these deep breaths with yourself, and keep talking to yourself, keep talking to yourself. I'm going to tell you another technique that's awesome, and you can look it up. It's called the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. So I've introduced the word grounding to you right now. Grounding is when you actually, well, that's when you start centering yourself. When you start breathing, you start centering yourself. And what you're doing when you're grounding is you're taking your focus from your head, from your mind to your body. That's called grounding. You're centering yourself. What you're really doing is you're focusing now on the present moment, and you're focusing on your breath. And that takes you out of your mind, because your mind is somewhere else. It's in the past. It's focused on something else that it thinks is dangerous for you right now. And that's where the fear comes in. And so that's what you want to get out of, is this part. You want to get out of your head. And so this next technique is called the grounding method. That works with your 5 senses. So we're going into the body again. And the grounding method that uses the 5 senses is awesome, because you can do this from anywhere you're sitting. The grounding method starts off with 5 things that you can see. So I'm literally going to be sitting here and I'm going to say, I can see a glass over there, and I can see a tap, and I can see the gray floor, and I can see the walls. And you're literally going to just name 5 things that you see. And what are you doing again? You're taking your focus off from that chatter that's in your head. And then you're going to go to 4. And this is going to be 4 things that you can feel. So 4 things I can feel. Well, I'm feeling cold right now, or I can feel, the texture. What does this feel like? Oh, I feel this is smooth. I'm feeling my shirt right now. Or I'm feeling my hands and maybe they feel a bit rough. So you're going to name 4 things you can feel. And then you're going to do 3 things that you can hear. Oh, if I'm sitting at a party or sitting out with people, I can hear voices. I can hear people laughing. I can hear, if I'm sitting quietly outside, I can hear birds singing. And I want you to literally say it to yourself. I hear this, I hear that, I hear that. Again, your focus is on what's going on outside, and you're not focusing on your head. And then you're going to do 2 things that you can smell. Now, sometimes you'll be in an environment where you can smell things, but sometimes you won't be able to. Or maybe just the air smells fresh if you're outside. Maybe someone's smoking so you can smell smoke. You can actually think of certain things you like the smell of. Maybe you like the smell of apple pie or fresh bread being baked or something like that. So think of 2 things you can smell. And then the last thing is something you can taste. So just try to get a feel of what taste is in your mouth. Maybe it's, remnants of what you just had to eat. Or I've often been told that if you suck on a peppermint, it really helps to focus on what you're eating. And again, you really want to just take the focus off of your mind. So those are 2 awesome techniques: breathing and then the grounding method. Now, what I've often done is I've been in a car, someone's driving, or even when I'm driving myself, I'll practice these. I'll practice these techniques. I'll practice the breathing and I'll practice the grounding method, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I like to just do the one that I see. I concentrate on that one because that's the easiest. So I'll just, be driving along and I'll say, okay, there's a stop sign. All right, there's a blue car. Oh, and there's a white car there. There's a pedestrian trying to cross the road. And I'll just keep naming things. And you can do this as you're walking around the house and just practice it, keep practicing it. Because what's happening is you need to practice being present. Because what happens is the mind will keep on going elsewhere all the time. And you notice how people forget their keys somewhere, or they've just done something and then they forget what they were just doing, or they walk into a room where they forget what they're doing. It's because their mind has taken them elsewhere. So people with anxiety need to always try to concentrate to get into the body, back to the body, and do it 2 times a day. So if you can even hold it for 30 seconds, one of the hardest things I've done, and I try to do this exercise often during the day, where I'll say, okay, for the next 30 seconds, I'm just going to focus on what I see. And I'm just going to keep naming things, and I'm going to try not to let my mind go somewhere else. And it's amazing how all of a sudden you just end up losing track of where you were, and it's like, damn, it took over again. My mind took over again. But just keep practicing. It's almost like you have to train your mind to have you keep coming back, And that's what meditation is all about. Meditation wants you to just sit there and have an empty mind. Well, that's hard because your mind wants to go somewhere else. But practice it with the grounding technique by naming things. And that's where you're bringing awareness to your situation. And you are staying in the present rather than have your mind go elsewhere. And you keep training yourself and you keep training yourself. And it almost makes you stronger so that when your anxiety comes up and creeps up on you, you know what to do with it. The main point is to practice these grounding techniques as much as you can and as many times as you can in a day. Now, these techniques are going to help you when your anxiety comes up or when you're having a panic attack. However, the anxiety is going to keep coming up until you deal with it, until you try to figure out what the message is, because there is a message behind your anxiety. There's a reason why your anxiety is coming up and why you have fear. It's just not happening. It's just not because you have anxiety or because it's kind of a condition that you are born with, and it's not true. There's a reason for your anxiety. So what you need to do to find out where this anxiety is coming from or why you have it is, once you're in a situation where you are sitting quietly and you've calmed yourself and you've used some of these techniques to ground yourself, you did some breathing, you've did the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, you're ready to start journaling. And the best thing to do is, when you have an anxiety attack, if you can, is to practice the grounding techniques and to do the grounding techniques and then start to journal. And then you're going to journal from the ideas that are coming in your head, the messages that are coming in your head. So whatever it is, that's going to be your writing prompt. So if you hear a message that says, oh my God, I'm scared. I'm really scared right now. That is exactly what you're going to write. I want you to write from the message you hear, and just continue writing and continue what the fear is saying. What is the fear telling you? What is your anxiety telling you? What message is coming forward? And once you get those messages out of your head and onto a paper or onto the computer, then the message has been heard. And that's what's going to help you with the healing. Because what's going to happen is, behind your anxiety, there are emotions that you need to deal with. I'm going to link how to journal from your emotions at the end of this. And it's going to help you journal from your emotions. It's going to show you what I mean when I say journal from your emotions. I strongly encourage you to journal from your emotions, because that is the one way that you're going to get rid of your anxiety for good. If you start to work through some of your emotions. Because if there's some fear that you need to look at, then you need to journal from that fear. So the 3 techniques that I gave you, the breathing, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, and the journaling are the 3 things that I want you to focus on. Those are the 3 main techniques for getting rid of your anxiety. You can do this. It's going to take some work on your part. It really is. You have to practice it. You have to practice the grounding techniques, because when your anxiety comes up again, you have to be prepared for it. And if you practice it when you don't have anxiety, then you're going to be prepared for it. You really will. I promise you. And remember that you have to keep bringing your focus back to your body. All right? You want to get out of your mind, because that's where the anxiety is. You want to go into your body, back to the present. And you're going to do that using the grounding techniques that I gave you. Until then, if you have any further questions about anything else or anything else on anxiety, you can always go to my website, carolecares.com, and you can go to the Ask Carole page and you can ask me a question on anything and I'll get back to you. And please tell other people about my channel so that they can get the help that they need. And remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can always follow me on Instagram, and that's where I tell you when all my new videos are coming out. And until then, I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you are working through. If you are working through anxiety, if you are working through depression, have compassion for yourself for what you are working through. And please stay safe. Bye for now.